said the age of heroes would never come again.
It has to.
Hello and welcome to another one of my reviews. Now, today I'm going to talk about Justice League, which has just come out in cinemas. And it's got a lot of negative press, and I was in two minds whether I was actually going to enjoy it or not. But you can only find out by going to see it. Now, looking at the film itself, I'll come to what's good, what's bad later on. But let's start with the basic premise. Now, Justice League finds Gotham still in mourning from now. As long as you've seen Batman vs Superman, then this will not be a spoiler. But if you haven't seen it, then you aren't going to see this anyway. But really, why are you watching this anyway? Gotham is still reeling from the death of Superman. Yeah, there it is. And there's a brief bit of mobile footage at the start of the film from February the 12th, 2015, when he's asked a number of questions by a member of the public, including, what's the best thing about planet Earth? Now, if this was BuzzFeed, it'd be tagged with the headline, what he says next will shock and surprise you. What does he say? Well, you have to go watch the film to find out. Anyway, there's a brief bit of plot, is that there's a trio of sort of Hellraiser boxes. That's all I can, call them. I mean, it's nothing to do with Hellraiser at all, but they kind of look like those. That's immediately what I thought of when I saw the boxes. They look like something out of one of Clive Barker's creations, and that's kind of my only point of reference really. I don't have too many points of reference when it comes to superhero films. When they all come together, it's Power Hour basically, and then they summon Steppenwolf, and that's going to bring about the end of all worlds apparently. So. I'll come on to the Steppenwolf bit in a minute, but so to stop some bad stuff happening, they're sent away to the four corners of the earth. No, not four corners, because there's only three boxes. So three corners of the world, sort of. So they find a spot on Wonder Woman World, whatever that's called, another place that's underwater in Atlantis, and a third on some sort of lost land where it can never be found. Of course, when the baddie comes along, it won't take him long to find all three, and because otherwise we'd have no film, would we? And it's going to be crash bang wallop when he does. So basically, it is 2 hours of crash bash smash, and I didn't fully understand what was going on, but there was a great deal of humour in it, and that's what's been missing from so many superhero films over the years. There's also a moment where lightning must strike at the right place at the right time, and then have a power of 1.21 gigawatts. Not, but it's kind of lightning all over the place anyway. But as I stated earlier, there's a lot of humour often with sarcastic responses, some of which I was kind of half expecting to come through, and I was glad when they did. Such as when Wonder Woman asks, "We are asking people we don't know to risk their lives," and Batman replies, "I know. That's how this works." Adding a sort of Blues Brothers getting the band back together reference, plus when Batman's trying to understand Aquaman's powers, he quizzically asks, "Do you talk to fish?" And understandably eliciting a bit of a strange look from the recipient. And also adding that since Steppenwolf, as I mentioned him already, is the name of the baddie, they did miss a trick by not featuring that band's classic Born to be Wild. Love that song. Now, onto the critics, and they're all hating this, and I don't know why. I found Wonder Woman went on way too long. It was always 2.5 hours long. Same for Spider-Man Homecoming. I mean, that was overlong and dull. And compared to most superhero movies, though, Justice League is shorter, funnier, and better. The ensemble ideas tend to work best, such as in the 2012 Avengers movie. Sadly, we have to sit through a lot of individual ones in between. Now, we don't need overlong origin movies. It's the first time we've seen Aquaman, Flash, and Victor Stone come to the fore in a film, and they're each introduced in segments which each can take a few minutes, but they do that and then they just get on with it. Similarly, before we get to them, we get a brief scene apiece from Batman and Wonder Woman. The latter, of course, with her lasso of truth paying dividends. And despite the change of director, because Zack Snyder stepped down from the project following the tragedy of his daughter's suicide, Joss Whedon took over, and about 15 to 20% of the film went through reshoots. But that sort of signifies a kind of film that's going to be just horrible, but it's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. I mean, back to the press, as I said, and I question when they gush aplenty over other films such as Paddington 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I referred to already, Blade Runner 2049, and Dunkirk. The latter of which, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 8.5 out of 10 in my review. It was nowhere near a 10. There is a huge difference. And I've said for a while how they clearly do this just to get their publications' names on the poster. Of course, I haven't yet seen the movie featuring the bear from Darkest Peru, and I will do, but nothing about it says to me must see at the cinema. So I mean, the first one was good, but sequels rarely improve on an original. But back to Justice League, and yes, there are rather lots of characters in this film, but they all make their mark. Even Jeremy Irons in his sort of brief appearances as Alfred, such as when he comments that in earlier times everything was easier because all you had to worry about were wind-up penguins. Now you have a boyish Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller, who's a bit infantile at times, but in the way that works in his favour, leading to a film which has, to me, what I thought was kind of the playfulness of Christopher Reeve's Superman movies. I feel the humour worked because despite all the fanciful stuff, all the comedy was rooted in real-world situations. In fact, I'd have to say it because a lot of people don't seem to like it. I really enjoyed Suicide Squad. And this film, Justice League, clocked all the right funny bones, and also clocked in around the 2-hour mark as well, just being a mere 2 minutes shorter than Suicide Squad was in the cinema. You also got Terminator 2's Joe Morton as Silas Stone, the father of Victor, plus nods to the late David Bowie and Prince in there, which is a nice touch, but I would have also liked something for George Michael as well. Plus, in the you got a post-credit sequence, of course. You got Fred Truman, who returns after exactly 40 years off our screens with a new set of bar-based games in Justice Indoor League. He comes on screen and just goes, "Al City." This is followed by a second scene. The footage is shown from the next movie of the series, which will be called Batman vs Superman: Chauvet Trials. Now, I jest, of course, but as for what the post-credit scenes really are, well, you'll have to have a look in my review below. So if you've got any comments, then post it in the comments section below, obviously. Where else are you going to put it? Mars? No, waste of time. I won't see it. I'm not on Mars. But pump up that volume. And just hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Bye bye. Q Genesis.